Nehemiah, the 4th chapter. We'll celebrate there in the 13th verse. And we'll go down to the 16th verse. And it reads as thus.
Therefore sit I in the lower places behind the wall, and on the higher places.
No, the 4th chapter of Esther, I'm sorry, the 4th chapter of Esther. Excuse me for that. The 4th chapter of Esther and the 13th verse through the 16th verse. Yeah.
4th chapter of Esther,
All right, come on.
13th verse through 16th. Then Mordecai commanded to answer Esther, think not with thyself that thou shalt escape in the king's house more than all the Jews. For if thou altogether holdest thy peace at this time, then shall their enlargement and deliverance arise to the Jews from another place. But thou and thy father's house shall be destroyed. And who knoweth whether thou art come to the kingdom for such a time as this?
Yes.
Then Esther bade them return Mordecai this answer. Go, gather together all the Jews that there are present in Shushan, and fast ye for me, and neither eat nor drink 3 days, night or day. I also and my maidens will fast likewise, and so will I go in unto the king, which is not according to the law. And if I perish, I perish.
Well, if you don't mind, look at your neighbor and tell your neighbor it's time to stand up and have courage. Look at somebody and say, act like you got courage. Look at somebody else and say, act like you got faith. You may be seated at this time. Act like you got courage. Whether you're going to remember this message as I preach. But listen to me. Act like you got courage. It's time to stand up and have courage. Brothers and sisters, courage is a thing that make you fight, make you stand up, and give you a push like never before. And I want to talk for a few moments and just dealing with the truth, dealing with the preached word, but also dealing with black history at the same time, and history period. Gandhi was somebody that many of us know. He was born in the 1800s. He died later, I think in the 40s. But this gentleman was one that was raised in Hinduism. He was Indian, and he was taught a certain kind of way. They didn't just get married. Matter of fact, what they did, they actually married him off when he was 13 years old. They picked his wife. He got married at 13. And a lot of folks, we look at him and say, wow, wow. Well, that's why some of y'all ain't married, because y'all can't pick nobody, and ain't nobody pick them for you. So don't go through no changes. But that's why some folk can't get nothing right, because they can't see. But parents had the idea of being able to see potential. Mm-hmm. They were able to see, old Charlie Boy, old Rex, and ham sandwich and pork chop. You liked that guy. But mama didn't want you talking to pork chop. She didn't want you talking to ham sandwich. Because ham sandwich is going to be in jail eating some bologna sandwich. You don't fool with ham sandwich. But it's amazing that his parents picked a woman at 13 that was very equal to him in his walk of life that they haven't even really started yet. And she started with him, and then by the age of 18 years old, he went on to school there in London to become a lawyer, and then he went on there after graduating and went down to South Africa and began to work for an Indian company there. And there he saw racism, there he saw apartheid, like he had never seen it before. And he began to be one that made up his mind to stand up about truth and stand up for right, stand up for being treated equal. And there he stood up strong after being locked up many times by the British government, who stated and walked as what they call a Christian nation, who hid behind Christianity a certain way and took over and colonized many countries and many people. And there he was hurt, bruised by those so-called religious Christian people. And let me tell you something, a lot of things can hurt you, but church hurt can be real rough. I wish I had somebody to talk to. And this hurt him in such a way that he fought, and they locked him up for standing up for right because he had the courage to do it. In the courage of doing what he did, he opened up the doors to marches. He opened up the doors to demonstrations of fighting without violence. That's where Martin Luther King got that from. He got a chance to read and see it with his own eyes. And many times, Gandhi was in jail, and in 1942 to 1944, they locked him up, and he, for 3 years, went on hunger strike. They can call it hunger strike all you want to. He made up his mind to fast. He made up his mind to use something with his body. And he was in such a cold-blooded state of walk that his wife agreed with him, that he even became celibate and he was married. In other words, he had a wife that understood how serious he was. I tell folk all the time, don't marry nobody that can't handle your calling. Can I talk it over here? Because this woman was chosen by his mother and father and married him, but didn't know what his life would be, even though he was smart, went on to be a lawyer, and thought they were probably going to have things on a higher level of life financially, but he did not have it high, but he had it high. He had it high because he had the courage to stand up for right. Let me tell you something. When you get the courage to stand up for right, a lot of folk can talk about what they had. We can talk about Martin Luther King all day long. And Martin Luther King died at 39 years old. And we talked about what life he would have had. Maybe he could have been president. But let me tell you what happened when Gandhi died. A Hindu, an Indian Hindu is what killed him. He was no doubt paid and found himself, they called him extreme, but no, he was paid. Just like when Martin Luther King walked to Memphis to march, to deal with Memphis with those sanitation workers, the first time we went, there some paid black folk. Bust windows, caused all kind of problems in the march, and they had to shut the march down. They were paid to do that. They weren't with Martin Luther King. They were paid to do that. The Bible talks about for the love of money. It's the root of all evil. It's amazing folk will fight themselves for the love of money. They will fight a community that's in need just for a few dollars to do what they want to have in their pocket, another suit, a diamond ring, a new car, some money in their pocket to get a house, only to have comfort for themselves and let everybody else go to hell. It's a shame that we would sit there with no courage to stand up. But it was a beautiful thing in Montgomery how 53,000 plus black people did not get on the bus for 13 months. Every one of them refused to get on the bus because of the command of a leader that talked and stood up for right and broke down the back of those problems that was going on in Montgomery because they stood up and had courage. Old women. Old woman was still walking because Social Security wasn't hitting on nothing. She was walking, still cleaning up Polk House. And they had to say, "Aren't you tired, lady?" She said, "Yes, I am. My feet are tired." She said, "But my soul is arrested." In other words, I'm tired of walking to my job. But my soul is rested in why I'm walking. My soul is rested in the reason why I'm walking. Because I ain't walking just for myself. I'm walking for these people here. I'm walking for that little baby in that woman's stomach. I'm walking for that baby. That baby, no doubt, because I'm walking, will never have to sit on the back of buses and never have to deal with being treated like a dog and demoralized. So I'm walking for my great grandchildren. So therefore, brothers and sisters, when you look at these people that died when Gandhi died, when Martin Luther King died, their words became so powerful that white folk have something that blow them out of the box. They quote King. What's the guy name? The Vice President Pence. Vice President at one time. But when you went into his office in Indiana as the governor, he had a big picture of stuff, of speeches of King and dealing with speeches that King had in his office, even though he was part of something that had to do with a lot of people that had problems with racism. But yet he took the word of King that was true and he dealt with it because this is the power of courage. Yeah. When you have the power to stand up and power to even be willing to die for the truth, it becomes so powerful that people even on the other side of what you're really dealing with can stand up for that. They can respect it. Millicent, I was in the kitchen yesterday and I was in there washing dishes and doing the little dishes. And yesterday, I thank all y'all that helped with the funeral and cook the food and set things up and doing those things there. And I really had something that I had to do. And I went off to the store and the Lord told me, say, get on back there and help them folk in the kitchen. And I got to the kitchen, it was Nadine and another young lady, they not a member here. Nadine not a member here. That lady not a member here. But those two ladies was helping to run the kitchen, and while they were running, I carried there, so I started washing this, started pouring stuff, and started trying to do different things. I was washing dishes, and one of the ladies walked up to me from the family of the Williams, one of the daughters-in-law said to me, said, Ramon, she said, I want to tell you, I really respect what you're doing, a pastor washing dishes. I looked at her, I said, well, it's servant leadership. If you can't wash the dishes, then how can you even be a preacher? Come on now. How can you even stand up and preach the gospel and you won't clean out the toilet? How can you preach and be in a position to lead people and you can't do what you're trying to get folk to do? Come on. I wish I had somebody talk to her. And she thought she was saying something. I thought, oh, good, this is what we do sometimes. This is what we have to do. But I wasn't doing that. I wasn't saying nothing like that. Thank you. See, because some folk, you know, the preacher preached on Hummer this last week, and they'll give you the Hummer badge if you're real humble. Like one man, they gave him the Hummer badge, but by the end of the day, they had to take it off of him. Right. They had to take it off of him because his head got so big. I wish I had somebody to talk to me. You don't never get the big head about what you're supposed to do that's right. You don't never get arrogant about what is right. You're supposed to understand, hey, a charge to keep I have. You got to understand that when you do what you're supposed to do, making deals in the back doors, making deals behind closed doors, like Jesse did when they came down there to Toyota down there in North Carolina, when they gave him $6 million for his organization. The way Coca-Cola did him when he came down here to fight for that woman, that black woman, they gave him $10 million for his Operation Push. Yeah, and to shut his mouth. The way Jose Williams did when I was a boy, when he was picketing church and chicken for doing wrong. But then when they paid him that back money, he left them alone. I wish I had somebody talk to me. But when you stand up like King stood up, you say, I stand up all right. I got a courage to stand up, and you can't pay me. But yet some will say you know, what's the boy name? Jose Williams. I was in jail with him one time. And he won the election while I was in jail with him. They thought they were going to mess him up, but he did win the election, the first black commissioner there in Decatur. And there he won, and he was humble in that. He told me a lot of stuff that King said to him that blew my mind. He told me, say, King told them not to get a job with the government. Told them to stay away from that. Be the conscience of the government. Don't work for the government, because when you have to work for them, you got to deal with the people that elected you. You need to be a voice, and you need to be a conscience for them to speak against wrong. And King was one that did that. And many people didn't respect that during the time. Many black, big, huge churches did not bag Martin Luther King because they thought he was messing up. When they did the thing in Birmingham, when they let the children help them doing the sacrifice of dealing with Jim Crow, they dogged them out in the paper. They went to other black leaders and they dogged them out in the paper because they said they were putting the children at risk. But King told them these children have a place in this too. This is their future that they're fighting for. And while they was doing that, they were talking on that, but let me tell you something, Bill. It was the children that really broke the back of Jim Crow. When they locked up those teenagers and those young college students that went down there, the Freedom Riders, and they locked them up down in Mississippi. Boy, there was the rest of them that came from all over the world. They came on buses. And they were sitting there talking about, you can't do this. They were singing these songs in jail that you can't stop us. You can't stop us. You can't stop us because we standing up for right. We got the courage to stand. And they were talking all that stuff and saying all that stuff. And them white folks were laughing as they were locking the door. But then all of a sudden, 300, 400, 500, 1,000 buses came from all over the place. And they got locked up too. And they had so many folk in jail, they couldn't even house the people. So what did they do? They opened the doors. They got whooped in such a way. They opened the doors and said, y'all get on out here, don't come back. I'll tell you what, y'all can eat any restaurant you want to eat at. I had somebody talk to me. You don't have to go in back doors no more. Y'all don't have to do that no more. So don't come down here with that no more. We gonna drop Jim Crow. It broke their back because somebody had courage enough. Let's get on the bus and go to jail. I wish I had somebody to talk to me. Brothers and sisters, there's a thing that happened with Gandhi and King as they began to talk and as they began to do, and as they died like they died, their words became true. Gandhi, we talk about him, we have to wait till we get to heaven to see what the deal is. But when they asked Gandhi, what are you? He said, I'm a Christian. He said, I'm also a Muslim. Well, what does a Muslim mean? The word Muslim means one who surrendered himself to God, to Allah. Allah don't mean nothing but God. But where that come from? That came from Abraham's sons. Can I talk about we? You want to fuss about Abraham's son? Well, let me tell you about Abraham's son. Why you fussing? Hey. His son was the first one that got God to give him water from a rock before Moses.
Yes. Come on now. That's right.
And his mama had a relationship with God. And when they put him out with them sandwiches, and after they ate the sandwiches and drank all the water, God spoke to his mama and said, listen, I heard the prayers of your son. In other words, I got a relationship with your boy. And I'm going to do what I said I'm going to do. He said, Abraham, you put him out and I'm going to take it. Come on. I wish I had somebody talk to me. When you understand when God say what he said, he mean what he said. He took care of Ishmael.
Yeah.
He took care of Ishmael and gave Ishmael 12 countries.
Yeah.
He gave the other brother, what was his name? Isaac. He gave Isaac 12 tribes.
Yeah.
I wish I had somebody talk to me. But when his daddy died, the Bible said God told him, act like you ain't got that boy no more. Act like you don't have no son no more, named Ishmael. But this son you got, I want you to go kill this boy, your only son, not even recognize him. But when Abraham himself died, guess who showed up for the funeral?
Yes.
It was Isaac and Ishmael. Ishmael showed up and said, what's going on, bro? What's happening? Ishmael was rich because God said, I told you I'm going to tell you. Well, who are those people that Ishmael represents? The Muslim y'all don't like. Them Negroes that y'all say crazy. Yeah, they are crazy because the Bible said they shall be called a wild people, a crazy people. They shall strive forever. But they were Abraham's son and they got a relationship with God.
Yeah.
You can't kill them, I don't care who you think you are. You can't kill them because of one thing. They got God, and I know y'all don't want to recognize that.
Say it.
But guess who showed up when Jesus was born? It was the Jews that showed up. But guess who that showed up? It was the Chaldean Arabic that showed up. That's who showed up. Who was them? Those were the other sons of Abraham that showed up. And they were the one that brought the myrrh. They were the one that brought, the frankincense. They were the one that brought the gold that took Joseph through to take care of him while he was in Egypt. Why are you talking?
Come on now.
Preach it.
He said, I got sheep that's not of this fold, and them too I must bring.
Come on.
So what did Gandhi say? Gandhi said, I am a Christian. Then he said, I am a Muslim. Then he said, I am a Hindu. He was trying to say, I'm here for all people. I'm standing up for all people. What's wrong with that? You got a problem with that? Well, let me straighten you out. God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten son. God so loved the Muslim. God so loved the Hindu. God so loved the crazy folk that you know. God so loved the folk that don't go to church, that ain't thinking about going to church. And he said, those the one I died for. He said, I didn't come to the one that was over there right. I came to the one that was messed up. I wish I had somebody to talk to me. He said, I didn't come for somebody that was healed. I came for those that sick. Can I preach it? Why are y'all talking?
Come on now.
Got a problem with them Muslims, but that boy got water from a rock before Moses ever seen it. He got water from the rock and blew their mind. Guess what it did for that boy did? Made that Negro know I can make it. God on my side. Somebody say, when God on your side, you can make it. It changed his mama from going on there to die. It changed her to understand God help me. How many of y'all ever had to pay child support before? Right? How many of y'all been to jail for child support? Well, I know y'all don't want to tell me. And neither lock up half y'all women. But y'all get child support, still don't take care of the child. Because I had somebody talk to me. And so they get child support, child still starving. My son came to stay with me. Frank didn't have he had gym shorts for underwear. He had 2 pair of gym shorts for underwear. He had 1 pair of tennis, 2 shirts, and they was like basketball jerseys. I wish I had somebody to talk to. But I was paying that child support. Sometimes I paid big money. I paid $4,200 one time, but I refused to pay after my dad died. I was like, I ain't paying them Negro nothing. I wasn't paying nothing. But standing, gonna ask me when my dad died in court, talking about what you gonna do with your dad's car. I'm like, I give it to you, fool. His mama asked me that. What you gonna do with your dad's car? Boy, somebody came out of me one whole day. I had to bind that devil. I want to say, are you a fool? You sent up there trying to get some more child support from me? Somebody I live in a $300,000 house, I can get some more child support. And they gave it to me. Minister, they gave it to me. I paid child support for Frank till he was 30 years old.
Come on, man. That's right.
I'm about living my.
That's right. Come on, man.
He was staying with me, and I was paying child support. He was staying with me, mama, and I was paying child support.
Come on, man.
That's that attitude come out.
Yeah.
This nigga was there with me. I had him in suits every day. Y'all know he didn't have no suits, but after I got it, y'all saw him in suits every Sunday.
That's right.
And she asked me, what you gonna do with your daddy car? You need to call the police on and have you locked up. She went to court, I took her back to court, Middleton, and I stood there in court with my serious courage self. I stood there, I said, Your Honor, I've been having for years and she ain't paid nothing, but I've been paying. Now I'm paid, and y'all tell me I got some more to pay? I said, every time I try to do what's that thing you do at the end of the year, Middleton, income tax. She done filed income tax. She getting, what's that credit something? That child credit, still getting $4,000, $5,000, $6,000. And I'm like, how you do that? He stayed with me.
Right.
And then she tells the judge, Mama, I've been taking care of him. I said, Your Honor, that's a bunch of crap. And the Honor locked me up, said I was cussing. I said, you need to look in the dictionary, Your Honor, and see what crap means. It's not talking about crap outside with the animal do. This word crap means nothing. Absolutely empty. They locked me up. And I said, Your Honor, it's a shame that you want to lock me up, but when I talk about what I did, you ask me to show proof. But when she just said, oh yeah, I support her, you say, I believe her. Oh, Your Honor, that's so low down and dirty. You need to lock her up on the cell next to me.
Right. Yeah. Right.
I just want to say that for y'all women that's listening to me. I preach the truth. I don't care how much tithes you give, I preach the truth. I ain't worried about what you give in church. I don't worry about what you won't sin. The truth will make you free. Be afraid to tell the truth. You know how many women got children and you seen their head napping?
Yes, right.
That's called courage.
Yes, sir.
See their head napping. Head so napping, they look like a movie star and their child look like they're a homeless child. You look at their shoes, the shoes be worn out. I mean, the little socks be all tore up. And here it is. Isn't it amazing your child, 8 years old, and failed, knocked their permanent tooth out, and you sit up there letting that child go all the way through high school and still won't get their teeth fixed. You know the devil's a lie. And you talking about he won't do nothing. The devil is a lie. She won't do nothing. Every now and then I go off like that. Time to have courage. You have to have courage to preach like that. Because if you don't have courage, you will cause people to end up believing a lie forever. Here it is, brothers and sisters. These two guys stood up and their word became great because they stood up for right. If God wouldn't have did what he did, King wouldn't have been able to do what he did. That's why there's some things that happen in your life, brothers and sisters. You got to understand that when you do what you're supposed to do, you cause other folk to get that witness of your life, and it caused something to happen in them. But God had to do that boy like that, Abraham's son like that. I'm going to take care of him, and you don't pay for him because I'm going to pay for him. I'm going to take care of him. When he took care of the boy came at the funeral, rich and all outdoors. They put their dad in the bed, and they went on and put him in the cave, and they went on in love and went on about their business. Even though he was unnoticed. Now I got to take time to say what I'm going to say right there. Some of y'all ain't noticed by your parents. Some of y'all ain't noticed by folk in your family. You've been trying to get noticed by them all your life. Let me tell you something. Don't worry about that. You just let God do what He gonna do with it.
That's right.
Can I say that one more time? You just let God do what He's going to do in you. This baby here, with Tonza, Daddy got killed when you were how old? 14. 14 years old. So there's a certain thing in her miss her daddy. But she didn't have certain things to protect her and all that stuff a certain way. She wanted her daddy. And you can see anytime she found a picture of her daddy, she didn't have a picture for years until just a couple of years ago, somebody sent her a picture. She was like happy. Woo! Look at the picture, got him again. She was happy about it. Because she wanted to know him, wanted to visualize, wanted to see him. But let me tell you something about God. Even though they're not here, even though they may not know your name, it's amazing how God can bless you if you have courage to act like that you ain't got no problem. That girl sitting over there with that hat over there, her daddy brought her from a place called Buffalo, New York, when she was just a little baby. And she was just a baby. She really don't even know her real birthday. She like my grandma and them. We know it was cold when she was born. I had my grandma say, when your birthday? She said, it was cold. But they ain't had no birth certificate. They weren't born in the hospital. But that's the way they say, well, she about 9 months when she got there. And then they went and found her day and said, all right, this is your birthday. When's your birthday? 9/13. Yeah, see, that's her birthday all her life. But she never knew her mama. Because her daddy took her from the mama and moved down from there all the way to Florida and gave her to the grandmama and said, help me raise this child. But every now and then, as a little girl, she would go through those changes and she would be crying, I ain't got no mama. I ain't got no mama. I don't know my mama. But something happened in her spirit one day. She understood something, and even though she never saw her mother, never known her mother, God spoke to a woman of God one day and said something to her about her mother, and spoke something to her spirit. It changed her life because see, what you understand is that you get busy caught up doing what God wants you to do. He's going to bless you and make you successful. He's going to do something in your spirit and cause something to happen that only God can do. And let me tell you something, when God gets through doing it, it will replace every negative that ever been in your life. Because God will put the positive in your life. My boy back there, look at my boy. That's my boy there. That's my boy. You see him back there, 6'2". 200-something pound, good looking boy. That's my boy. He came here when he was a little bitty boy. How old were you when he came to him? Probably about 7 or 8.
Something like that.
And one day he was in my room and in the back there, he said, I said, you ever talk to your dad? No. I said, you know where your dad is? No. So I called his mama in. I said, hey, Dad, come in. I said, why this boy don't know his dad? Well, you know, I want to know him. I said, you getting child support? She said, yeah. I said, how you getting child support? And you cashing the check, and he don't know his dad. She looked at me and said, well, he don't pay what he ought to pay. I said, but he paying something. I said, that means he ought to know his dad. But I can't find him. I went on the internet in 5 minutes and found his dad. I said, give me his name. He was on what? Facebook. And I told my boy, I said, come and hit your daddy, boy. You look just like him. I said, this is your daddy. And you know what I did? I went on Facebook and I typed him a note. I said, listen, my name is Pastor Darren Holman, your son. I'm like his surrogate father. And I got him as my son. I said, I love him like a son. I said, let me tell you something. It would be a wonderful thing if he had his daddy to talk to him because he really want to know you. I said, brother, he's a wonderful kid. And I'm going to tell you, you would love this boy. And I typed my son number in. He called him. God knows. And now my boy work down there on that job down there and got a business and he bring it up on the side the same way. And let me tell you something. There's a security in my boy. There's a security in his spirit. There's a satisfaction on the inside of him. Why? Because he got two daddies. He got a real biological daddy that he knows, but he got a surrogate daddy called Pastor Moment. And because he got a mama that love him, and he got those two daddies like that, guess what it did? It put a security in his spirit. It made him understand who he is, and it made him go forward, and he ain't got no negative attitude. He got a pop. You ain't never seen him acting ugly to nobody because he got the right spirit, because God gave him courage to do something. I wish I could talk like a little church. I wish I could. Now I'm going to preach the rest of this. The beauty of all of what I'm saying. God knows how to deal with you and take care of you. How many of y'all know what the Bible said? I'll be your mother and your father. Let me tell you what it said. He is El Shaddai, the great-breasted one, the nurturer, the great-breasted one, the great-breasted one, the one that take the breast like a woman and take a crying baby that daddy can't do nothing with, and take him and put him over there and put it on the breast and quiet that baby and satisfy that baby. He's the great-breasted one. He knows. I wish I had somebody to talk to him. I used to say forever, God ain't never been no mother, but the devil is a lie. He said, I am the great-breasted one. I've been a mother and a father. I wish I had somebody to talk to him. How many of y'all know that for yourself, that he'll be a mother and a father for you? Baby, let me tell you, I don't care what you don't have right there in your life. God knows how to make up the difference. All you got to do is act like you got courage to march on. I was blessed to have my parents. I was blessed to have them. I didn't have some of those problems. But when y'all done had the problem, I have to tell you, there's a truth in this Bible that speaks to you. It's time to have courage and act like you know. And those the parents done died, your parents done went on from him. God makes up the difference. I dare you to act like you know. I dare you to act like you believe him. He will do something in your spirit that will revolutionize your life like never before. Hey, good God from somewhere. He will nurture your spirit. Now, to the text. This King Ahasuerus, Ahasuerus, that's my country way of saying it. He had a wife named Vashti. Vashti was the queen. Now I'm going to hit another note. Was a queen, his queen. And he called Vashti and said, hey, I need you to come here with me. She was having her little convention, and this is what she said. She said back and said, listen, I got my convention. What you want? I'm not coming. When she did that, the community, the leaders of this was the king of Persia. Persia was the United States of the world, the leading country, the ruling power. And his wife gonna tell the man coming nowhere. The men said, man, you gotta do something about this here. Because this woman gonna affect all of us, all our women down there with us. And they gonna come home with that same fucking attitude. And it's a shame that you hang with fucking women, they'll make your woman fucking. I'm gonna say that to you now. Y'all hang with all these smart mouth women, your mouth gonna get smart too. Evil communication corrupt what? Y'all don't want to hear me quote no scriptures now. Yeah, that's why some of y'all mouth funky. Because you've been hanging around with some funky talking folk. Some folk that can't be ruled by nothing. I run this and I run that. But you can't hold that credit card at night, can you? I got my own credit, got my own house. But you can't go hold that card at night, can you? I had somebody talk to me. Can't they, mama? They can't slip out there. All they got is in their house, Mr. Pillar. They got Mr. Pillar. Yeah, you bought it from Mr. Pillar. Ain't it a good pillar? But it's just a what? It's just a pillar. And she gonna tell the man coming, let me tell you what he did. He said, go get her. And the Bible said they locked her up for life. They stripped her of who she was. They stripped her from being the queen and put her and made her a prisoner. And the Bible said they went on a hunt to find him a wife. They went through the country and saw over 1.5 million women. All was virgins, untouched by man. We're going to bring no used up woman. They brought them brand new, untouched, ain't never been kissed. Brought them women, and wow, they was walking by. He was looking at them. All of them seemed to be fine. He said, Lord, that good, that gorgeous. Look at that legs right there. Look at that gal there. Oh, Lord, have mercy, Jesus. All of them were just fine. You know, when you ain't got no wife, everybody be looking good. You see a crippled woman with one leg, you say, look at that leg she got. Look at one leg, you look at her now, you like, wow, that's a wonderful leg. You see, oh, one-eyed woman, you say, ain't that eye beautiful? Yeah, they ain't changed. Look at some of y'all. But I'm telling you, you get tired of being by yourself. But I'm going to tell you something, this by yourself ain't getting no. Nothing. Y'all let me know. But it ain't hitting on nothing. So here he watching these wonderful, untouched, beautiful women coming. They just, you just like can't make up your mind. But a woman walked by named Esther. And when Esther walked by, something sprung up in his heart, Jay. That make him say, good God, I want that one right there. Hey, look at all of them, but give me that one there. Why? Millicent, there was something about her had to do with God. Not because he saw God. God had something to do with him seeing her. Because God had something he wanted to do. She was a Jew, but didn't nobody know that. He didn't know it, and he married her. And when he married her, Mordecai, her cousin, he took care of her and seen about her. And there he got a position. And while he was in the position, this one guy, Haman, got promoted in a position. And the king told everybody to bow down, to respect him. But Mordecai looked at him and said, ain't bowing down. He said, I ain't bowing down to him because I got a chance to read a letter that he wrote. You see, he wrote a letter and said he wanted to have all the Jews killed a certain kind of way because he wanted to make money and put it in the king's hand by getting rid of them, take their property, take everything, put money in the king's hand. So the king said, since he's going to make that much money, I'm going to give him this position. And Mordecai looked at that and refused to bow because he had courage. Now let me tell you something, you can't refuse to bow when the king say bow. When you try to refuse to bow, you have to be careful because the king will have you killed. I mean on the spot. They ain't got to wait. They say, get that boy right there, chop his head off while he's standing there. But the Bible said that then Haman went to the king and said, did you see Mordecai didn't bow down when you told him about it? He said, yeah, I thought that looked like he wasn't bowing down. I kind of wondered about what was going on his mind. But you know, he's a good guy. He said, he ain't good. He said, that guy, he's a problem. And he made up in his mind, I'm going to do something with him. He said, I'm going to kill him. And mama, this is what I told you, you're going to remember. He went and built a thing to kill, to hang him. That's the thing I preached this month. Going into March, 7, 8 years ago when that stuff happened with Daddy wasn't there that morning. morning, I preached that morning that be careful that the gallows you build might build for you. I had somebody to talk to. He built something and thought he was going to kill Mordecai. He was out for him. And so, when he got out for him and built that gallows, let me tell you something what happened, and I want y'all to get this in your spirit. The Bible said that Mordecai called his cousin and sent a message and said, listen, Haman is going to try to kill all the Jews, and they're going to try to kill me. He said, I want you to get to the king, and I want you to tell the king what's going on. But see, the king didn't know she was a Jew, but once she sent back to him and said, wait a minute, I hadn't seen the king in 30 days. And if I hadn't seen him, I can't just jump in and go see him because he'll do me like he did in Versailles. He'll have me killed or have me locked up. So I can't go down there like that. So you got to understand, I can't do that. But when she sent that to him, he sent another message to him. He said, you trying to sit there and you going to back up? Do you realize that the Jews are about to be destroyed? Do you think you're going to be safe in your, because you married to the king? When he find out you wasn't telling the truth, you didn't tell all your history. When he find out you have deceived him, you're going to be dead too. And your father's house. What do you mean your father's house? All your father kinfolk is going to be killed while you trying to sit there like that and try to ignore it and think you safe. I want to say something to some of y'all. Because some of y'all feel like you safe because you got a good job. You got a good, living. You might like you done paid for your house, some of y'all. And you think you in good shape. Let me tell you something, brothers and sisters. There are some things that can come through this earth that will blow your mind. I know you look at it all the time, but we don't see it like that. But we see these people in other countries walking with all they got on their shoulder and in a bucket and walking. Why are they walking? Because they leaving their land. Because their land have been possessed. Their land have been taken over. Let me tell you something. Don't fool yourself. That same thing can happen in the United States. Don't fool yourself. That same thing can happen right here in Douglas County. Don't fool yourself. It can happen in Winston, Villa Rica. It can happen anywhere. You don't know what they can do. They can do some things that blow your mind. Don't think you so comfortable because you get a check, baby. Because you mess around, baby, and checks won't never come. All they have to call is a problem, and they'll tell you no more checks. And you'll be sitting there looking at the bill and the problem, and the next thing you know, you outdoors. I wish I had because